Continuing in the Germany 1930 campaign and Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts. We've advanced into August 1930, and we had 2 ships under repair. They were light repairs, but those have finished. A couple of heavy cruisers are back with the fleet. One of them, however, was being repaired over here in Danzig, and we need to get the York, I think it was, back over into the North Sea operating area. This is how you do that. You click on the port, click Move Ships, right mouse, click on the desired destination. Emden is fine. And there they go. So next month, York will be back in Emden. Okay. This transit does increase cost a little bit. But from what I've seen, it does not invalidate that ship from finding... It's not ineligible for finding its way into a battle. Because it's moving from one port to another, one area to another, I don't know if it's tonnage in range, if its presence is counted in the Baltic or in the North Sea, if it's counted in both, or if it's not counted in either. I don't know the answer to that. So it may or may not be a factor in the balance of forces for the transport losses, but it is eligible to find itself selected to enter a battle. All right, it's not completely, off the board. And who knows, it gets into a fight on its way to Emden and then winds up getting sent back to Danzig for repairs again. That happens too. But because we had those ships come out of repair, we still have our battleships in sea control. But with the completion of repairs, our monthly balance is now a very comfortable surplus once again. We'll see if that continues after this month. There is one battle about to occur, and it's down here off of Land's End, almost into the full North Atlantic. And there's a heavy cruiser duel again. One of our heavies has run across one of their heavies, and they're about to mix it up. We're not seeing a ton of variety in the types of battles we're getting. We've had a couple of convoy battles and quite a few kind of one-on-one cruiser duels. And so you're seeing, there's basically a few different types of battles that the battle generator has at its disposal, and that's modified, of course, by the selection of ships available. I've only got the 2 ship types. The 5 capital ships, the 5 battleships, and then just some heavy cruisers. And so that does limit the battle generator's choice in the types of battles that it offers. And that's why I put those battleships in sea control, hoping that would make it more likely for one of them to get one of these fights. Another battle that occurs a lot is you get a big squadron of enemy destroyers, like 6, 7, 8. I think the highest I've seen is probably 9, all attacking a single battleship or a pair of battleships. Kind of swarm attack, if you will, trying to get in there and land torpedoes on them. Speaking of torpedoes, we just spotted some. I believe Admiral Shear will Missed that spread, I think. These are the fast ones. I maybe should have straightened out, tried to stay in that little gap in the spread there. It's too late to shift rudder now. I think she'll miss it. Just straighten up. Keep turning, you might kick your stern a little bit too far over. Catch that last torpedo. Okay, she'll be all right. I know it looks like I'm steering right back into them, but by the time shear gets around over here, those torpedoes will have passed. Speed up a little bit there. With time. Oops, I straightened out just a hair. Just dropping the cruise speed, help the accuracy a little bit. Oh, he's got severe flooding problems. What is that? The Bacante. Soon to be the ex-Bacante. Another thing I've kind of noticed in the battle generator, once a ship fights, for whatever reason, I don't know how they're prioritized. It's not always the first ship in the class, but it just kind of keeps picking the same ship or a small group of ships, right? We've had heavy cruisers, pretty much all we have. The battleships haven't fought yet. In every battle, and we've had, I don't know, what is it, probably 6 or 7 battles by now. Admiral Scheer, I think, has been in most or maybe even all of them. Meanwhile, we've got a couple other cruisers that have only fought in one, and I think maybe a cruiser that hasn't fought at all. Just keep sending Admiral Scheer back into the fray. Which, you know, that crew training setting, the funding for that is a big factor in the rate at which a crew progresses, but actual combat experience is a big chunk too. And so as a result of that, Admiral Scheer's crew is up to trained status now. I think most of our ships are probably still green. So we're actually getting, instead of some penalties, we're getting some bonuses, small ones, but there's an aim bonus. That's the speed at which you acquire the target and start landing shells on target, or at least trying to, as opposed to figuring out the range. A little bit of accuracy bonus now instead of a penalty. Still a tiny penalty for reload. A little bit of bonus in the repairs and damage control. And then you go up through regular status, then seasoned status, and then veteran. And up at seasoned and veteran, these are pretty big bonuses in all four categories. I think it's like 30% accuracy, 50% aiming. You know, you spot a ship, boom, you got it dialed in. Firing for it. Significantly faster reload and damage control as well. Yeah. Can't move, almost about to sink, trying to run away, stern pointing toward us, not maneuvering as much. He's got full launchers, but he's not going to turn and unmask those batteries and fire any more torps. Now, if we wander too close to his side, he will. Let's not let him. Let's not blunder into his sector. Just want to slow him down a little bit. Like any game, you know, the AI has its limitations. You know, show me a game where they don't. When the campaign first came out, even just a few weeks ago, the AI was overly timid and would start retreating, start running away, even before you were spotted. It just would try to disengage. I guess about a week ago there was a hot fix where they fixed some of that, and kind of what we've been seeing in these battles is, you know, at least they're sailing toward us and fighting. In toward the beginning and into the middle of the battles, you know, they're causing some issues, throwing all those torpedoes at us, making us maneuver violently when we have more than one ship, messing up the cohesion of our line as we try to avoid, not always successfully. We have taken torpedo damage, but then once they take some damage, then they get much more reasonably. At that point, they do try to disengage, and then it kind of turns into the seal clubbing that we've seen in a couple of these more recent cruiser duel battles. Britain loses another heavy cruiser. Starting to have a pretty serious effect on his order of battle. Yet more victory points. Things are not looking good. They're down to 3 heavy cruisers. They've still got a fair number of light cruisers. I don't remember the number they started with. I think it was about 16 or 17, so they've lost some of those too. Haven't seen too many DDs. That's about what they started with. And of course, their battleships and battle cruisers have not seen action any more than ours have. One of the reasons I did not build battle cruisers at the beginning is that, for whatever reason, even if you've got a more even mix of ships than I have, something more like what the AI has here, some of every type, battle cruisers just don't find themselves in as many battles. And when they do, it's kind of a capital ship versus capital ship duel like we've been seeing, right? We've been having these 1v1 cruiser versus cruiser duels. You know, we had one up here. We had one down here off Brest. We just finished one. Yet another. And the game likes to pit your battlecruiser against, well, not necessarily the players, but it likes to pit a battlecruiser against a battleship a lot. So if you've got a battlecruiser, you're going to find it up against a BB a lot. The battlecruiser should have speed, and it should have okay armament, but it's just not going to have the armor to deal with the battleship. And if you have a reasonably fast battleship, the way I do, at 28 knots, and you can, I probably could have made it 30 knots with a little bit more tonnage spent in that direction. If you've got pretty fast battleships, as you tend to get in the later eras, kind of that role of fast firepower erodes for the battlecruiser. And the further along you go, the less and less kind of niche that it has, because the battleship is catching up in speed. And the whole reason for that lighter skinned battlecruiser is kind of going away, because the battleship can do it all now. Which is kind of what happened historically. Battlecruisers is a distinctly separate type. That distinction got pretty muddied through the 30s to where even by the start of World War II, Japan had ships that had been built as battlecruisers. They were battlecruisers, in the 1910s or when they were built, but they had been reclassified as simply battleships, fast battleships, by the start of World War II. And in terms of speed, something like the Iowa class, the fast battleships of the U.S. Navy, the North Carolinas and South Dakotas and so forth, were they a really fast battleship, or were they a really heavily armored battlecruiser? It's kind of two sides of the same coin. Anyway, that's why I didn't build battlecruisers. And with that, Admiral Shearer did take a little damage. She's back in the shipyard again, because she fights a lot. It's in a North Sea shipyard, though, so she'll be okay when she comes out of the yard. And our finances are still positive. Battleships are still in sea control. So let's see if we can't get a battle here as we go into September. And the Brits lose a transport this time. These numbers are fairly light. If there was a bigger imbalance, if the British had more superiority and maybe he had even established a blockade, the numbers of monthly transport losses can go up a lot, up into the 20s per month. 22 transports lost, 25 transports lost. So for both sides, transport losses have been quite light so far. There is another battle right here in the middle of the North Sea. And here we go. We have our 46,000 ton battleship against, apparently the British battleships are lighter, 38,595 tons. Huh, that is fairly small for 1930. Let's go have a look. It does happen sometimes. However, unlike the lighter ships, it is much more likely that the AI probably did not put torpedoes on this battleship. They do it sometimes. It's not guaranteed. Unidentified large ship is almost 19 kilometers away. 3.2% chance to hit. That range is really not too bad. We're going to leave it at auto. We've got plunging fire. Hopefully we can drop one down through her deck. She might drop one down through that. It did kind of go light on the decks. Oh, there's a penetration and a fire. Aha! And notice that hit was for 81. However, it keeps creeping up. That's from the fire that we said. So these damage numbers are not just the initial hit, it's the effect of it. It's been a few episodes since we took a look at her. Just the design of the shipyard. As you can see, 4 dual 15-inch guns, high quality 15-inch guns, Mark IIIs, but that's actually kind of medium quality, I guess. It goes up to Mark V. Way too far out for any of our secondaries, and not even bothering to aim yet. This ship is very stable, side to side. It's got a very low rolled number. That's largely because it doesn't have that many secondaries. And these 5-inch turrets we've placed are set back from the deck edge. They'd have more roll if they sat right out here on the gun. But because of the length of these towers, went for a slightly less tonnage than we could have to save just a couple $1 million. Because of that, this ship has too happy with the pitch. It's got a high pitch for now. But we can see, we just take a look here over on the left. Stability. That modifier is plus 70%. So that pitch is actually not hurting us too bad in these weather conditions. We've got clear weather, calm wind, calm sea. So the pitch isn't hurting because the sea is pretty flat. If we were in rough conditions, that hull stability doesn't be much lower than the ship is chroming. 10 kilometers and we're down to 15% hit percentage. However, so the weather's awesome. However, it's evening, which really, I mean, it's the same engine that's used in, like, say, the Road to Sea games. It's nighttime in those games. And bad weather. It seems like an insurmountable thing to do. Since they've already done it in other games. We are getting close enough now that the trajectories are kind of getting into that they're flatter. You can see that from his shows coming toward us too. The likelihood of a plunging shot into the deck is getting lower and lower. Yet he's still far enough away that the vast majority of AP shots are probably just going to ricochet. We'll give it another couple salvos, see what kind of hits we get. sure how to pronounce that. Yeah, I think that would be Schlesien. Something similar to that. Ship is still not fully identified, so you know, we're not getting the. It's almost there, 98%. That's data. Implacable. So what we had a 32% chance to hit. Implacable has a 4.6% chance to hit. Why would that be? Much lower, well, it's about the same for tech. Lower for, it's roughly the same for long range tech. Triple barrels. Little penalty for that. It has a negative hull stability in these best possible weather sea conditions. Still a negative hull stability compared to Schlesien's 70% positive modifier. So that tells me that Implacable is probably at least as bad as Fish, if not more, as ours. Worse roll, and probably a significant weight offset, forward or aft. Not as good a gun platform. Both ships are probably no. Schlesien is up to train. That's all for crew training. Obviously, she hasn't fought in a battle yet. None of our battleships have. They've been spending their training time well in port. So right there, that hull stability is probably the biggest single reason why their accuracy is much worse than ours. Yeah, 3 triple turrets, including a way bigger than necessary barbette. Without seeing the design numbers, Implacable almost certainly has a significant forward weight offset. That's my guess. 38,595 tons. 20.6 knots. It's like early Dreadnought, pre-World War I. That's slow. 30s. Also has Mark IIIs. So the individual guns are equivalent to ours. He's got them in turrets, which is not a brand new tech, so there's a small accuracy penalty, not enormous. He's got this hull. It looks like a late Dreadnought rather than a have gotten screwed in the game start tech race. There's still casemate in the hull, which our hulls moved past that. And he's got 7-inch casemate guns. And then just some light 3-inch festooned all over the superstructure. That kind of secondary placement up in the towers wasn't even possible. That goes back to the older hull. We've got a more modern got the modern battleship one, I think. And this is probably like a dreadnought. And we're getting close here. Sword out. But if he does have a weight imbalance, he could have avoided that. Quality generator, AI, and ship designer, because these are compact towers. These turrets could have been placed a little bit more to lessen pitch. And then he's got a few 2-inch. Kind of as I suspected, no torpedoes. A few bulkheads. And indeed, it's not quite, it's a flooding. Alright. Damage too. Hopefully this is going our way. We got pretty close while I was looking at their stats. That's alright. I'm probably unnecessarily risking something like a flash fire or a detonation. This range, even this much lower accuracy. It's not increasing the chances. 26%. Meanwhile, apparently we literally cannot miss. That's not quite one. Still doing 15. No, he's sinking. There we go. 1874 victory points. British Hibernia class. No doubt King will yet again offer us a peace treaty. And having proven German superiority in capital ships as well as cruisers, I think we'll have made our point. And we will probably accept. Schlesien is in repair. Will be for 2 months at $4.5 million per month. And with that, we will see what happens in October in the next episode.